Well, back now with the panel. Peggy.
Yes.
Okay, there's a lot to digest in that one because we went in a lot of places. I first want to start with the child migration issue because he's not personalizing that one. He personalizes almost everything in our interview. He sounds a bit almost too dispassionate.
That's interesting. You found him to be a little distanced on the subject. I know he thinks it is a big issue for him still in the coming election. I know also that there is probably a sense within him that he is perceived by others to be failing there at the border. Mm-hmm. Not only for the issues you mentioned, which are very serious, but because it's been 3 years now and nothing is under control down there. So maybe that has something to do with his thinking. But I'll tell you, I was listening to your audience here as we were watching this interview, mm-hmm. and man, I thought of the old... Look, this president, we shouldn't lose sight of it because we see him every day. This is a compelling character who people are watching closely. This is a character. He reminded me, he's got a line on every subject, and he reminded me of the old real estate salesman saying, always be closing. Yeah. I sense he is always closing. But I heard a lot of laughter from your audience. I'm not sure I could interpret the kind of laughter, but man, it was total engagement.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think that the frustrating thing about immigration, I would imagine probably to a lot of people, is that this president is in a position to do the deal on immigration.
Yeah.
Now,
it's
from Nixon China.
Yeah.
He is in the position, and everyone knows the terms of the deal. Everyone understands what the Democrats want out of it. Everyone understands what the Republicans would like to see in terms of border security and a merit-based system. He's the one that can get this done, and I imagine it's frustrating. There's politics involved. I get that. It's an election year. It's especially difficult to do immigration in an election year, but I still think the president's the one with the opportunity to do it and to go out there and actually get this deal done.
Peter, is he bluffing? Is he going to get? It was interesting. Peggy said always be closing, but is he going to get a reputation that he bluffs too much?
Yeah, it's a great question, right? In the last 2 weeks, basically, he's done this 3 times. He did the Mexico and the tariffs. He says, I'm going to impose these crippling tariffs unless you give me what I want. And then he pulled off saying he got a deal. He did the same thing with Iran, not saying he got a deal, but he pulled back on the strike. And he's just done this weekend on these ICE deportations. Well, Nancy Pelosi called me, so I decided to hold off for 2 weeks.
By the way, once I give Democrats the credit for that, which I find a bit of a head-scratcher. On one hand, I get it with the base, but I don't know if that's smart with swing voters, but okay.
It's he's being accommodating.
Yeah.
He's saying, look, I'm going to be the reasonable guy here, even though it was a crisis he himself set up. This weekend is going to be the weekend of mass deportations. Well, maybe it's not. He likes to create a crisis and then be the solver of this crisis. It is part of the showman aspect, I think, of his presidency to some extent. I think he looks at it as a way of getting to where he wants to go. You put out a maximalist, almost extreme version of what you want to get in order to push your other side to get 70-80% of where you want. Sometimes that works, but I think a lot of the time right now he's just sort of, coming up with a deal that's not much of a deal.
Chuck, in watching your exchange with him about these kids at the border, it made me think of that phrase that he uttered over and over again, I alone can fix it. And I think he's deeply frustrated that he can't fix this problem. So he did walk right up to the line of these deportations that were supposed to start today and then say, look, now I'm calling on Democrats and Republicans to get something done on asylum. That's not going to happen. No. I mean, talk to anyone. That's not going to happen. What could happen? They are considering these bills that would add more funding to DHS, to HHS at the border, and he'll claim credit and say, look, we got this done ultimately.
I want to talk about what he said about Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. One of your neighbors on the Wall Street Journal editorial page, Daniel Henniger, had an interesting observation about Joe Biden and the Sleepy Joe reference. And he says it's Trump's Sleepy Joe problem. Mr. Biden may be doing so well in the head-to-heads against Mr. Trump because many voters simply want respite from the nonstop Trumpian atmosphere of disruption and volatility. For them, Sleepy Joe Biden may not be an insult. Political belief still matters, but maybe not as much as neurological relief from political and personality overload.
Yeah.
I thought that was it. And in some ways, that interview and this column, you see how that could go together.
Oh, sure. Do you remember on the Ed Sullivan Show when we were little children, there was a guy who came and balanced plates? There'd be a stick, he'd put a plate up, he'd get it going,
Sure.
he'd get another, and then he'd run back and forth just trying to keep them all up. Balancing plates is part of the tone of this administration and of this president. Look, it's nonstop harem scarum. Even something that in the past might have been as cleanly, logically handled as the Iran thing became nonstop harem scarum. It has this meaning, no, it has this meaning, I did it for this reason. He is exhausting. I think a threat for the president is that he tends to exhaust, not into submission, but into ultimate aversion. Many people in the middle who'd like to, be sympathetic towards him, but just think, oh my goodness, this is too much.
Right. Stop tweeting. Stop talking. Stop taunting. Whatever
Stop
it is.
all
Right.
the drama.
But that's how the president gets things done. I mean, that's his style. This is who he is. I mean, it's this notion that you're going to change who he is. I think we should just give up on that, right? All the criticism about there being no process in this White House. Do you really expect
won't
there's
be
going
one.
to be process in this White House? I mean, what? And if the president arrives at decisions the way he's going to arrive at decisions, I don't understand. All these Democratic candidates out there criticizing on process, and I get it. I love good process more than anyone else. But why do that? That is not a compelling argument. He's going to do what he's going to do.
But it's not process. Nonstop harem scarum is sort of an approach that can exhaust people.
And I think he's struggling with how to take on Biden. And you saw that when he was in Florida launching his campaign. So he went back to his talking points on Hillary Clinton because in some ways he's more comfortable
He's
there.
decided she was a great candidate
Exactly.
now. By the way, there's a
That's
reason he needs to.
interesting.
Yeah, because she's a great candidate because it would make his victory seem
That much
more
more
Yes,
impressive.
yes.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to pause it here.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and then click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.